Hello everyone, this is Josh Vision, and I'm here to give my Season 1, Episode 1 review of Living With Yourself. So, we're introduced to the character of Miles. He seems to be very angry, bitter, jaded, and indifferent to his life, especially his job. We have a scene in the episode in which he has to do some type of pitch in regards to Hilson, but he's not prepared, and he asks for a few more days. And he's eventually overshadowed by one of his co-workers, Dan, in regards to something to do with the Oculus or something, like some type of virtual thing. And everyone is like giving Dan like a standing ovation. They even use his little idea or like contraption with the Oculus over at the restaurant they all go to after work. So Miles asks Dan what happened to him. Like he's changed. Like he done like a full 360. He used to be so like quiet and timid, hiding behind interns. So he wanted to know what the deal was. And Dan was saying that he went to this spa and everything changed. Like he feels more alive. He's more positive minded. He's more confident, so on and so forth. And he gives Dan the card to the place. I mean Miles the card to the place. And Miles like, why you give me the card? And the guy blatantly tells him, well, because I need some competition around, at our job, and I get a 20% discount if I give someone, to join. So Miles is like, all right, I'll give it, I'll decide if I'm going to do it or not. So Miles goes to his car, and before he made it to his car, you see Dan making up some random woman he met at the restaurant. So we see Dan go to his house. He goes up the stairs. He seems really dejected, sort of like when he was at work. Him and his wife seem to have a very kind of not really affectionate marriage, from what I've seen. The next morning, he gets some type of message, and it apparently deals with the fertility clinic, which his wife brings up, saying this something like, I believe they missed, this is not the first time they actually missed an appointment. This seemed like they missed lots of appointments, and it's mainly due to him or his indifference, which his wife mentions. We see him basically get ready for work. He's driving, and he decides to go to the spa. So he drives up to the spa. The spa is basically in the middle of nowhere. And he's like, man, F Dan, I'm about to go to work. And then he sees Tom Brady comes out. Tom freaking Brady comes out. And he was like, yo, how is it over there? He was like, it's good, man. He's like, how many times you been inside? He was like, 6 times. Obviously a reference to Tom Brady's 6 rings. So Miles is like, right, screw it. I'm going to go inside. So once Miles goes in, he meets these 2 Asian guys, and they basically give him the rundown about how it would help him, so on and so forth. So he decides to do it. So I believe the last thing he remembers is him being put to sleep. So the next scene, we see this dude literally emerging from what seems to be like a burial on the ground in plastic. And he's running around trying to figure out what the freak just happened, why he's in an adult diaper. So he gets to his house, and as soon as he enters his house, he sees himself, essentially. Like a real-life version of himself, fully clothed, with an axe in his hand. So there's a little bit of a little tug of war for the weapon, and the one in the clothes is the stronger of the two. And then he's trying to figure out what the freak's happening. So he calms the guy, down, essentially, like the naked version of himself, and they go basically into the garage, and they're trying to figure out what the freak happened. And basically the diaper version of himself is like, all I remember is that I was put to sleep, and then I woke up basically in a shallow grave, essentially. And the guy in the clothes is like, well, I remember basically being put to sleep, then going to work, and then coming back home. And then they realized there was definitely some cloning going on, there was some type of cloning that happened. So they decide, obviously, to drive to the spa place. So while they're driving, they're talking about memories from their past, something to do with 7 and having something to do with teenage, when they were younger, they couldn't pull the bra off of some girl named Sarah, and they got made fun of. Also, when they were a child, they got stung by a bee and it felt like a hot needle. So all this basically was a test from the guy, and all this was a test from the version that was actually in neat clothes, whatever, to see if the guy, who was wearing the diaper was just some type of crazy person or so on and so forth, whatever. So they get to the spa, and their suspicions were confirmed. It was indeed cloning that happened, but that the clone that was in the diaper and all that stuff, he's the only one that actually survived to that point. You know what I mean? Actually became like a live, you know, manifestation, you know, of Miles. So they tried to kill it, but clearly that didn't work. So they're trying. So Miles and the guy are like, "What the freak? What do you expect us to do?" So I think a deal was made, but I forgot what it was. If I, you know, so if y'all can be so kind, just write what it was, you know, below the comment section. That's all I got. If I miss anything, once again, right below the comment section. This is Josh Vision. Adios.